Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time on Target morning show. Last day of vacation, so headed back to Texas on this weekend. Today, we're going to talk about alternative investments. You can hear folks saying lately, inflation's going higher, so therefore you can't invest in the stock market because it's going to crash. You can't invest in bonds because you're not going to get the return that you need. So alternatives are the only game in town. I don't think that, but I think we need to at least talk about what are some alternative options out there for you. And these are some names you might see cropping up in your portfolio over time. We're going to talk about things like Blackstone, which is private equity. We will talk about Bitcoin, since that is a legitimate alternative. We'll talk about gold and silver. We'll talk about real property and how to be able to invest in that inside of your portfolio, including your IRAs. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. If you're catching us on replay, thank you so much for checking us out. Make sure you hit subscribe and notification. If you're in the room live, again, it's $25 to be in the room. Thank you so much. We have a chat room and a Q&A window as well to be able to interact with me. I will answer all your questions, I promise. And with that, let's get started. All right, welcome back, everyone. Here's a lineup card for today. Make sure you have your chat window and your Q&A window set up appropriately. Standard disclaimer applies. We are going to this financial education presentation. Make sure you do your own due diligence before you act upon anything you hear this morning. Full disclaimer information is available at ototnow.com. Our mission objectives today: grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Specifically looking at, again, protecting our money through things called alternate investments. So these are going to be some names to consider out this morning. Again, you'll see them down there listed. You got Blackstone Group, Real Property, which is PPTY. Gold and silver are always hedges that are available to you. Bitcoin is GBTC, and then of course SPAC is the special purpose acquisition investments, and that's the ETF that you can use. We'll go through the standard flow, which is long, short, open, short, long. We'll talk long-term investing for the most part. Then we'll go through and talk some short-term things through the market open. And again, short-term trades, if you look in the chat room there, I have 4 longs. I like SRPT. That's a therapeutics company. They have a breakthrough in muscular dystrophy. Stock is on the move higher. However, it's low volume, so you got to be careful. Nibble at that one instead of going full bore. Also, FedEx, VXX, and WorkKey are also available for long. The only short I have for you this morning is HIMS, which is Hims and Hers Health, which is not all that attractive, but it is a short out there if you are considering taking an investment short this morning. We will execute the market open and then transition into our question and answer day, and that really is what is the alternate investment out there. So we'll pull up Investopedia and read about what we need to do there. All right, contingencies and academic resources are standard. I may have to relocate here due to some activity that's going on, so stand by for just a second as we do that. However, let me share out to you the S&P 500 chart of the day. So yesterday, we had the big sell-off in the NASDAQ, which again is up to 3%. So pretty significant move down. It really wasn't for the rest of the market out there. So what we're going to look at today is whether or not we're going to get that bounce. I think we will get a bounce to some extent, just because the move down was that aggressive. However, you never know, right? And it might continue the tech sell-off. However, for the S&P 500, as you can see, overall, it's not particularly affected tremendously. So you always want to keep that in mind as well. All right, let's see if we can find a place to relocate to here to finish up the the morning brief. When we focus in on the last 5 days of the S&P 500, you can see there that the market is actually bouncing this morning. So at least we're going to get some upside going into the open, regardless of what the Fed had to say this morning. All right, on the move here, trying to find a location to be able to set up and get back to things. All right, I think I found a spot. Walking out to it now, and then we will get back to things. All right, you're gonna have a decent view out of this location here, so put that up here in a second, and you can see what I'm looking at with Clearwater Beach in the background. All right. Go, bringing the video back up and get back into things here. Had a whole banquet crew show up this morning, setting up a bunch of poles and things, so that was not going to work for the background. So you can see Clearwater Beach in the background there. Not the most optimal setup, but we'll be good to go, and the Wi-Fi is good out here as well. All right, so where we're really going to take a look at the 5-day look in the SPY. There it is in the S&P 500. And again, there's the futures. They were in the green. It looks like they're selling off into the red now. Again, the Fed made an announcement this morning. I didn't quite catch it, but we'll catch it on the headlines of the day. And then again, as far as our day trading, here will be our setup. I do have luck and copy is gapping up 933. I don't really suggest that for a long this morning, but you also see the VIX, which if the market continues to sell off, taking the VIX long today could be your friend. All right, let's go to the headlines and see what's going on out here in markets around the world. All right, here's the U.S. pre-market. NASDAQ barely in the green. I don't expect that to hold. I think that will fade red as well. Okay. Get rid of some stuff here. Haven't had to relocate in the middle of a show before. That's kind of interesting. All right, Europe down across the board. Asia down across the board. Here's our numbers from yesterday. There's that big 3% number. I said the S&P wasn't down. It's down 1.5%. So, I mean, significant, but not compared to the NASDAQ. Bonds up again over 1.7 for the 10-year. That's what's getting everybody excited. Oil did sell off pretty hard, about a 7% sell-off yesterday, going all the way down into the range of that 40 to 60, which we like to see. All right, gold is one of the things we'll be talking about this morning, both gold and silver. Those are legitimate options for folks who want to hedge against market volatility. So they are considered alternatives. Again, you can see, remember gold was up around 2,000, so it sold off significantly. If you're going to buy something here as a hedge, I would say that is your way to go is for gold. Silver has not sold off to the same extent. We'll look at that chart here in a second. Crypto, Bitcoin still going long, 58.5 right now for Bitcoin. So again, can't really buy in here in my opinion, but a lot of people, if you have it, hold it is what my take on Bitcoin is. Okay, let's take a look at some of the headlines. Rate fears, yes, that is what is getting the headline. But as far as other things that are causing it, yeah, there's some other angst in the air. I think it's the release, like we talked about yesterday, of the taxes. You know, we're starting to talk tax implication, tax raises. That should be some of the, you know, that might dominate the news cycle predominantly, you know, for the rest of the year. For the most part, with other things kind of sprinkled in. Okay, here's the Fed rule. So capital levels are back in effect is kind of the big point here that we're seeing. So I don't know the specifics of that, other than last year as part of the easing process, they did relax those capital requirements, which was nice on the banks, which allowed them a little more flexibility in operations. Will they tighten those back to where they should be? So really that's a strength for the whole financial system is to have these a little higher level. It cuts in the profitability a little bit of the bank, so I'd imagine they'll probably get hit a little bit today. All right, let's see what else we have. Big NFL deal. Amazon's going for Thursday nights from now on, for the next 11 years anyway. I shouldn't say now on. Ambitious EV plans out of Porsche yesterday that was announced. Also, Lamborghini also teased an electric vehicle option that's coming out. So maybe that's the case. I don't know. It seems like everybody is getting in on that game. All right, Ford and Alphabet both got upgrades. Again, Ford stock's kind of been on fire lately. You know, kind of my surprise, but it's caught up in the vehicle thing, right? And the leader in electric vehicles and mass production. They still have not restated their dividend. I think once they do, you're going to see it pop higher and then probably sell off hard after that as everybody takes gains. But they're really waiting on the announcement to reinstore the dividend right now. Nike beat earnings. FedEx, we talked about as a long, they beat earnings as well. Bank stocks, I was going to cover those this morning. They're like, where do you go long when interest rates are on the rise? We always go to the banks. Those have already run up, so they're not really attractively priced here, in my opinion. Okay, let's talk about some of these alternatives. We'll pull out, first of all, the Blackstone Group. If you haven't heard of the Blackstone Group, they're the largest private equity firm in the world. A true alternative, you have to be a accredited investor, and which means $1 million in assets or investable assets. That is not just assets, but investable. Or you can meet it on a income base. So if you're single, that's $200,000 a year. If you are married, it's $300,000 combined. You have to do that for 2 straight years, and then you become an accredited investor. All of that allows you to invest in private equity with Blackstone. If you don't qualify for that, or you're not interested in particularly playing that game, because it is paperwork intensive, you put your money in. It's a black box, if you will. Put your money in for 5 to 7 years. They can keep it up to 10 if they extend it. And you don't know what's going on. You don't know what they're buying and selling. They give you these road shows every quarter, which don't really say a whole lot that they haven't already said. Throw some fancy names out there. But other than that, it's really a black hole. A lot of people don't like it because of that. You really have no idea. A lot of people find it attractive because of that, because you can't get in there and buy and sell, staring at your phone during the day, sort of thing. So if you don't want to participate in that, but if you want exposure to private equity, Blackstone is really the way to go. There are other names out there, Apollo Group, Carlyle Group, but Blackstone, stick with best of breed and you won't be disappointed. They've run up a lot, obviously, when you go down here to distributions in the lower left. 3%, that does waiver. It's not a standard dividend. It is a distribution, but they've gotten rid of their K1. So pretty attractive as far as an investment. All right, let's look at some other names out there. I promised you the chart on gold, GLD. I'll show you the sell-off that's kind of been underway. I think this is money rotating out of gold and into Bitcoin. So you look back to August, so think of that, what's 3 months prior to the election. Gold's up here, I think it was above 2,000 level. Obviously, this is not one for one with what you're seeing with the stock price of GLD. However, get rid of this thing, come on. You can see it's been in a steady down channel since then, kind of bottomed out here below, 157.5, it looks like. So, and again, pretty deep. Gosh, ads are killing me this morning. Yep, looks like we're going to lose our FinBiz today. So anyhow, consider that as an option. We'll pull up one more chart here. Let's see. Let's look at the path of Bitcoin GBTC. All right, a little windier out here than I thought. Stuff's blowing around. That's great. All right, so you see the chart here. We'll go to a 6-month chart on Bitcoin. And as you say, that's what it looks like. It certainly wasn't down at all. So it did peak back here about a month ago. It's kind of settled back in, but it's also on the way up. So, if you're going to consider it, I think the ship has sailed. Wait for it to come in. If it never comes in, then just hold what you've got. And then the last one that I don't pull up the chart on often is this PPTY. Again, this is exposure to real estate, U.S. Diversified Real Estate Fund. So again, you're getting out of the individual stock name and into a fund, and you're going to pay, of course, a small fee for that. which I generally don't like to do, but with this fund, I like it particularly. Well, A, because this chart, so that's a 1-year chart, and it's got a lot more room to run. So not really worried about PPTY selling off at all. If you want to go high risk in the alternative space, then the way to do it would be SPAC, which is an ETF that is the special purpose acquisition company, which you have for taking folks public. So you have a direct listing, you have an IPO, and you can also have a SPAC. Well, this is a fund which is a fund of SPACs. So super high risk, not something I don't touch it myself, but just came out in October. You can see the path that it's been through the house of pain. I would not buy it here at all. I think there's too much hype going on in the special purpose environment. All right, let's move over to TD Ameritrade, get set up for our day trades. We have about 1 minute to the market open here. It's been a good week for us, up 10R total on the week. So 3 days, we got the full 3R move, and then the 1 day, we just had the 1R. So let me populate the chat here real quick. We're going to take a look at the VXX, which is on the right, and then we're going to look at SRPT. Get SRPT put in here. All right, welcome to the On Time On Target play of the day. Coming to you from Florida here. We have 3 screens in front of us and 10 seconds to the market open. You have the S&P 500 on the left. You can see things are kind of trending down. You have our 2 longs, which is SRPT, therapeutics firm. They made some advances in muscular dystrophy. They were higher yesterday after that announcement. They've been kind of selling off, so that's not too attractive. And then you have the VXX, which is the VIX, which is actually in the red today. But if the market does continue to sell off this morning, you're going to see the VIX continue higher. We do have another couple names we're going to take a look at. Let's bring the chat back up here, and we'll follow along those here in this morning. We'll come back to the VXX, because it is not moving too much at all right now. And pull up FedEx. FedEx was up higher. I'm going to zoom in on the chart here if I have the capability to do so. So it was up around that 7% earlier. It's been selling off down towards the 5% range. So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, that was an earnings beat. And then over here on work key, well, we're going to put it in the same spot because I like that SRPT long. Once it gets going with some volume. Work key, don't know what work key does, but again, they beat earnings there, and they are selling off pretty hard. So never mind as far as a long. Our one short that we had out there, HIMS, which is Hims and Hers Health, have not heard of those folks either, but they were selling off hard this morning, down 10%. It does have the volume to get into it now, but I'm not really interested in trading that either. So none of those names I like. So let's go back to a crowd favorite, Luckin Coffee. Tell you a quick sidebar. I did go to their app last night. So they have I don't even know where my phone here. I was going to show you on my phone. They have an app. Obviously, it's in Chinese, but it's pretty cool. They sell they sell coffee, obviously, because that's their mainstay. But they also sell all kinds of different, I call them knickknacks. That's not the right thing. Souvenirs, maybe toys. I don't know, but if you've been into, a Chinatown type area in your local town, if you've been in some of the stores, you see a lot of trinkets, if you will. Maybe that's the right name, being sold. So the stores tend to be pretty full, and they also tend to have a lot of different things other than just whatever they're selling. So really, when you go to their app, don't know if you'll be able to see this, but obviously it's all in Mandarin there. But you only have a couple of coffee holdings, and the rest of it's like trinkets and knickknacks. So that's got to be high margin stuff. So overall, still pretty confident in the business model of Luckin. They went through their bankruptcy, into their debt restructure, and I think they're back to north of $10, which is what I like about where we are on the stock there. All right, saw one name pop in here late. There's what we're There's what we're looking at. Again, Luck and kind of stealing the show. I would not day trade it, but I certainly am happy it's up 5%. All right, let's don't see a trade for today, so let's back out and look at what's going on in the bigger picture. Revive Therapeutics and Empower and Neon Mind are all psychedelics. Those are jumping up big time, along with Shroom F, also a psychedelic. So must be something going on in that space. You see Luckin bouncing around up there, 6.5%. Roblox was sold off hard yesterday. It was their first time it's really sold off hard. It went back below 70, but remember the direct listing price was 64.50. So as long as that holds, I'm not too worried about it. Even if it does visit 64.50, still not too concerned. It's a long-term hold, so that's the game plan there. You see Bitcoin up 2.3%, DraftKings up, GAA, which is a name here, I'll highlight it in yellow. I almost listed that as an alternative today. You're going to see that popping up. So PPTY and GAA and BX are the names you're going to see popping up in your portfolio. GBTC, if you already have it. I'm not a silver or gold fan, but if you're inclined to one of those, gold has a much better entry. All right, let's take a look at the downside and what's moving south today. Clickstream, JP Morgan. Okay, so there's your banks. We talked about the capital requirements in the Federal Reserve announcement this morning. I'm not going to hop in and short banks off of just an announcement like that, but it is certainly JP Morgan, which is best of breed in the bank space, is moving lower. You have Bank of America there, Prudential, which is an insurer, and XLB. Well, never mind, that's builders, not banks. Some other names going there. Other than the banks, though, you don't, and one penny stock there. You don't have a lot moving down. So maybe we are set up for a nice green Friday, which would be cool. All right, let's leave that and go back over and close out with our question of the day, which is going to be, what is an alternative investment? So a financial asset that doesn't fall into the conventional equity, income, or cash kind of strategy. So pretty straightforward there. It's everything else. Private equity, hedge funds, real property, commodities, tangible assets are all examples. They aren't as regulated by SEC. It's kind of like Bitcoin. Is it a currency? Not really, because we don't transact in it. Other countries do. Americans do not. Obviously, I've told you a story about Venezuela, to where their currency is basically out and unusable. If the dollar would be out and unusable, we would all transact in Bitcoin and other alternatives, right? Because it would be stable, and that's the attraction to it. I don't think that's going to happen. But the, if you're the let's go build a bunker in the backyard, the end of the United States is near, all of that type talk leads you towards a non-US based currency opportunity, which is Bitcoin. Obviously that's not regulated by SEC because it's not an investment. Same thing with fine art, same thing with coins, gold and silver. Those are commodities. There's stuff, if you will. So they tend to be somewhat illiquid. Again, it's the ones I presented you today are options to get exposure through the market, which is liquid. Obviously, if you want to go hold physical gold, then you have to go through other means to do it. All right, from there, it's going to get into, you have to be an accredited investor for the most part, which is high minimums here, and fee structures. Again, folks that offer these, one of the attractions to Blackstone is that they charge a high fee, pretty much a 2% across the board fee for what they do. And is it worth it? I say, yeah, I've got money there. They haven't lost money since inception, which is in 1986. So, that's a pretty good track record so especially once you move up the chain high enough to where you're more concerned about not losing what you have, it's an attractive place to store some cash. So, all right, that's what I've got for today. Sorry for the contingencies of having to move around, but maybe should have been out here the whole time. It's pretty nice. All right, with that, I'm gonna let you go. See you back in Texas on Monday. Bye.